Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker is among a host of local sheriffs who say they will not be enforcing new legislation regarding the ban of assault weapons and regulations surrounding it. Sheriff Walker says the assault weapons ban is a violation of the rights of Illinois citizens.
Well, this statement basically was put together for us by the Illinois Sheriff's Association, which all 102 sheriffs in the state of Illinois belong to, and it was something that was approved by the executive committee of the Sheriff's Association, and you can dive into that a little more deeper with Sheriff Landers from Logan County, as he's a member of that committee. But it's something that was put out there for people like myself and Sheriff Landers, Sheriff Vogelzang, Sheriff Lane. All of our surrounding counties could be unified in our statement, and let our constituents know that we feel this is unconstitutional, and if the state wants to come in here and enforce that, then they can try to do so. Here's the thing, Seth. Some of the people that I've talked to are asking when we get to choose what laws we enforce and what we don't enforce. There's officer discretion every day on things. We can start writing tickets for speeding at 1 mile an hour over. We don't. I know people are going to say you're comparing apples to oranges, but just an example of what we do here. So it's not just because it's guns. It's because the people have certain inalienable rights that were given to us by our forefathers who started this country. And people say a lot of them argument is, well, we didn't have semi-automatic weapons back then. These are weapons of war. Well, when that Constitution was enacted and the Second Amendment was enacted, the musket was, what they used to defeat England was weapons of war, and that's everything that these farmers had. We've just advanced.
Sheriff Walker indicates the governor has told the public the Illinois State Police will enforce these laws, and local authorities that do not will be removed.
Well, the only thing I've seen is his statement the night that he signed it, stating that the Illinois State Police, paraphrasing here, the Illinois State Police was going to enforce this action, and he expected all law enforcement across the state to enforce it, and any law enforcement that did not would not be in that position any longer. So I don't know where he has the authority to do that, but it's obvious that I think a lot of people would agree that it's obvious that the Constitution doesn't mean things to a lot of people. The position of sheriff is a constitutionally elected office. I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of Illinois and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and that's what I'm going to do.
Sheriff Walker is concerned with some of the provisions in the legislation that could extend to some shotguns for various outdoor activities.
As I'm looking at a summary of this bill, they're talking about this as an assault weapon ban because AR-15s are bad and this and that. Well, a lot of people probably don't realize they've taken this all the way. We were talking about, well, your shotguns, you can have them to go hunting and this and that. Well, it's right here. Any semi-automatic shotgun that has one or more of the following: a pistol grip or a thumb hole stock, magazine with more than 5 rounds, and the ability to accept detachable magazine. So if you got a shotgun that you want to use for whatever reason, say skeet shooting or whatever, that has a detachable magazine, that's considered in this now. So, again, it's just where does it stop? Because, a lot of people would say, well, they'll never take away the freedom of the press or your free speech or anything like that. But you look back 50, 60 years ago, nobody would ever thought they would try to take our guns away from us.
The DeWitt County Board also passed a resolution at its December board meeting opposing the passage of this legislation. Recruiting is underway for a program that does a deep dive into the world of business for high school students. The Central Illinois and Sangamon Valley CEO programs are well into the school year as the second semester is now underway. On the WHOW Morning Show Thursday, facilitator of the Sangamon Valley chapter, Lisa Shepard, told Regional Radio they have 5 days coming up giving juniors in their schools the chance to experience the class firsthand.
It has been so nice to get back to in-person recruiting. Our programs spent the day yesterday going to 4 of the 5 programs that are involved with our program. And then Tuesday afternoon, we were at D-Land Weldon. So have hit all 5 of our area schools, which are Argenta, Oriana, Bement, Cerro Gordo, D-Land Weldon, and Monticello. What is great is that it is student driven as well. So each of our students put together the part of the presentation that matters to them and speak to why they are a part of CEO. And not only do they get to tell their stories and tell why it's a great experience from a personal perspective, they get that opportunity to give a pitch in front of their peers of their junior class. And I'm just so proud of the confidence and the growth in them over the course of time. It's funny, like each year I am surprised because we see them in professional dress, we see them early, and then I sometimes forget how far they've come. And then we walk back into a junior class and they just haven't been given those opportunities yet. And so to see the stark contrast of the confidence they gain. There's 5 different opportunities, including one tomorrow in Argenta that we're hoping to have juniors come out and just experience like what is a class and what does it, because it is much different than the regular school day. Recruiting is open now. If you have a junior in your life who would make a great fit for either Sangamon Valley or Central Illinois, can go to our websites, and that is the way that you apply. And a lot of times the students do need a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of push because it's much different experience than what they're used to.
Melanie Brown is the facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO program and indicates they take up similar efforts for recruiting students. She notes they also approach the school boards of their districts about the program.
Well, we are doing the same as going out to all the schools and doing the presentations. We also are trying to focus in on, the parents and the community education. So the students are going to all the school boards that we represent. We started in December, and in the next couple of weeks, we'll be going to school board meetings and telling the school board our story. A lot of times you have parents and students attending that. Some of the school board members got on the school board after CEO launched. In the past 2 years, we haven't had the opportunity to go out and speak to the school board and let the students tell their story and thank them for their support in this opportunity. Recruiting isn't just January 1st through February 15th. I feel like Lisa and I are doing that all year round by having the students engage in school boards in their communities, at the assemblies with the students and other areas.
While the programs give students a glimpse into so many aspects of owning a business and running their own business, Brown says it also offers many more opportunities. She touts the growth students make in areas like public speaking and interpersonal communication.
I think one of the things that I want to mention too is, and one of the student slides presentation says, who is CEO for? And, if you're listening and you're like, oh, my kid isn't interested in business, this isn't for me. Or, if you are a student listening and you're like, I don't love math, I don't love spreadsheets and accounting. CEO is for so many different individuals. It is for the undecided individual. One of the things that I state at the beginning of the year is if you sign up for CEO and we go to a site visit and you leave there and you say, nope, I have no interest in doing that, and you move that off of the table of opportunities in your future, that's a success. It's not a failure. It's not a waste of your time. We need to eliminate things that aren't our best yes. They aren't our gifts or our passion. And so that is great for the undecided student. It's for the student who needs to improve their communication skills. I have 2 students who both want to be business owners after school, and they both signed up because they don't like speaking in front of people. They're very socially awkward. And they said that they had that from within to say, I need to do this to better myself. And they stood up in front of an entire sophomore and junior class yesterday at Warrensburg and with a microphone on the stage talked and presented and talked about CEO. And just to see the growth and the confidence, it's absolutely amazing. It's great for leadership. It is a resume builder, as much as that makes me cringe sometimes because I don't want that to be the sole purpose. It is the truth. I mean, the things and the opportunities that they are given in CEO it is fantastic for resumes and scholarships and just personal development. They're going to get something out of it. It's not just on a piece of paper. They are going to experience it as well. And then it is for the person who's like, hey, I do want to go into business, marketing, advertising, human resources, those types of areas. They're going to get a lot of information on that. This CEO experience is for a multitude of students.
The deadline to apply for both the Central Illinois and Sangamon Valley CEO programs is February 15th. Visit sangamonvalleyceo.com or centralillinoisceo.com for the application. Again, the Central Illinois CEO program encompasses Blue Ridge, Clinton, Maroa, Forsyth, and Warrensburg Latham High Schools, while the Sangamon Valley CEO program has students from Argenta Oriena, Beemint, Cerro Gordo, DeLand Weldon, and Monticello High Schools. As we roll through January, the start of the year has not been very seasonable, and in fact, that trend is going to keep up. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates above normal temperatures and above normal precipitation is expected to take us into February.
Yeah, well, the outlooks are actually showing a high likelihood of above normal temperatures. We're in the 70 to 80th percentile here, almost the 80th to 90th percentiles. You get into the 8 to 14 day outlook. So significant warming in the middle part of the month, and that takes us all the way from all the way through January 16th to the 22nd is our 8 to 14 day outlook. So really pretty mild coming up here, but also during that time frame, above normal precipitation. So rainfall, hopefully not too much ice, but that's always, it comes into play when you have colder winter nights that can follow some of these events. But and then the 3 to 4 week outlook, same thing, above normal temperatures, not as strong. It's kind of shifting east for the most part, but all the way through February 3rd, that takes us with above normal temperature outlooks. And precipitation, same thing, above normal precipitation all the way through early February. So looks like we could get a little bit of moisture hitting the ground. Just have to, make sure it's not too impactful in terms of wintry precip.
Once we get into February, the patterns trend back to more seasonable with a cooler signal and above normal precipitation. Shimon says that gives us a good likelihood of snow or ice events.
The overall picture is showing a trend towards cooler, near normal. We're probably going to see the February and March timeframe have more wintry potential there. Precip signal is also above normal for the 3-month period of January, February, and March. If we do end up getting some additional precip in those colder months of February and into March, and last year February was our winter month, so it may pan out that way again this year as we see some colder air come back into the area in February. With January probably not seeing a ton of snow, we're probably going to be going into March on a deficit in terms of normal precip for the year. So, going into February, excuse me. So we'll have to see, I think we may end up being at or slightly below normal if January ends up being, really low on the snow amount.
Shimon points out the above normal precipitation trend will also take us to the spring.
Right now, February is looking equal chances of above or below normal. Same thing with March.
Okay.
But the above normal precip signal is in there for February as well. So we'll have to see, that definitely is trending towards snowier, more winter weather impacts coming in February.
Shimon warns if January does not see many winter events, oftentimes when they come back around in February or later, motorists often forget the caution required when driving in those conditions. He reminds, slow down and give yourself plenty of distance between the vehicles on the road. It is 23 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Friday morning. Plenty more to get to coming your way on the WHOW Morning Show.
At Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Baum Motor Company in Farmer City, our job is to help you and solve your transportation needs. This is Scott Baum. Both in Clinton or Farmer City, we'll listen and find options for a different vehicle. Or we'll give you repair options to keep that car, truck, or SUV safe and trouble-free so you can continue with your busy schedule. If it has to do with transportation, we're here to help. Visit our full-service team today in Clinton or Farmer City. Baum Chevrolet Buick, right from the start.
24 minutes after the hour this morning. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Lincoln Republican Senator Sally Turner has been named to the Illinois Republican Leadership Committee. Thursday, the senator spoke about the importance of being on the leadership team and how it will benefit the people of her district.
Leadership gives my district some expansive knowledge about what's happening, maybe some directives for policy, and that, we really have more of a stake in the game, in which I'm really appreciative that Senator Curran Leader Curran now has given me that opportunity. I think some of the issues that are in our districts, my central district was in central Illinois. I have 13 counties that I touch upon. Those issues are pretty much common to all of them, and so I can bring those forward to leadership and express those views.
Senator Turner now represents DeWitt and Piatt counties and was sworn in as a part of the new General Assembly this past Wednesday. Governor J.B. Pritzker is unmoved by sheriffs saying they will not enforce the recently passed assault weapons ban.
The first thing I'd say is they took an oath of office to uphold the law. As law enforcement, that's their job, and I expect them to do that job. You can have all the resolutions and declarations that you want. The reality is that the laws that are on the books, you don't get to choose which ones people are going to follow.
The ban takes the sale of more than 150 types of guns and requires people who already own those to register them by the end of the year. Most NFL playoff games are played in fairly decent weather or indoors, but there have been some wild weather games in the past. Gary Crawford has this unique report. "29 minutes after the hour on this Friday, coverage of news brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Get the latest in local news anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. We come up on 7:30 on this Friday. A look at the network news on the way. Local sports comes your way next. Monticello and Clinton girls basketball heard here on regional radio news last night. The Lady Maroons in Tuscola here on WHOW. Monticello hosted PBL. Heard on our sister station, WEZC, and a report out of Illinois basketball. Those stories and much more coming your way next in sports.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. 7 lives lost, numerous homes and businesses reduced to rubble. The legacy of tornadoes that cut a path of destruction across the South yesterday. Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee among states slammed by those powerful storms. Relentless storms could bring more flooding, rain, and mudslides. Parts of California today, the Monterey County Sheriff, Tina Nieto, fears that some areas will be isolated by high waters. Never shy about accusing the right of promoting conspiracy theories, now some leftists have hatched a theory of their own about the Biden classified documents affair, suggesting the sensitive papers found at the president's home and office may have been planted there. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are now deep in the red. The Dow futures down 257 points. NASDAQ futures off 118 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. In a game heard here Thursday night on WHOW, the Clinton Lady Maroons suffered their first loss in Central Illinois Conference girls basketball action, a 57-49 defeat at Tuscola. On Thursday night, the Warriors entered the game unbeaten and ranked number 3 in Class 1A. They jumped out to a 20-14 lead after the first quarter thanks to a flurry of threes from senior Ella Boyer. She would lead Tuscola with 21 points, 18 coming in the first half. The Lady Warriors extended their lead to 15 at the break and looked poised to pull away. However, the young Lady Maroons turned up the defense and only allowed 20 second half points. Clinton outscored Tuscola 27-20 over the final half, but the early deficit proved too great. Clinton was led by sophomore Reagan Filkin with 21 points. She was the serve pro of Piatt DeWitt County Player of the Game. Freshman Clara Dempsey scored 9, and junior Heidi Humble added 8. Tuscola goes to 21-0 overall and 4-0 in the CIC, while Clinton drops to 10-11 on the season and 3-1 in conference play. They'll play next Saturday at Illini Central. The next WHW Maroons game of the week is Tuesday night when the boys basketball team plays host to Meridian. Hear the action live around 7:30 on all WHW platforms. In a game heard on WEZC and at DeWittDailyNews.com, Monticello used balanced scoring in a big second half to rally past Paxton Buckley Low to 53-44 in the Illini Prairie Conference High School girls basketball action from the Seaver Center at Monticello High School Thursday. PBL jumped out to a 10-4 early lead, but Monticello closed the quarter on an 8-0 run to go up 12-10 after the first. PBL jumped back out in front 24-21 at the intermission, but from there, Monticello took advantage of an aggressive zone defense played by the Lady Panthers as they stormed to a 40-33 lead at the end of the third and ran away with it from there. Freshman Maya High had another terrific game for Monticello, scoring 18 points and grabbing 9 rebounds. She was the serve pro of Piatt DeWitt County Player of the Game. Tavy Young scored 11 points and grabbed 8 rebounds, while Lydia Berger came off the bench to score 10 points. PBL was led by Trixie Johnson's 23 points. She scored the first 10 for the Lady Panthers. PBL drops to 8-11 overall and 1-3 in the Illini Prairie Conference. Monticello moves to 7-13 overall. Monticello is at Maroa Forsyth on Saturday. Hear more Monticello girls basketball action on WEZC next Thursday when they host St. Joseph Ogden in Illini Prairie Conference action. It was a rough December for the Illinois Fighting Illini with disappointing losses to Penn State, Mizzou, and then into the new year with a loss at Northwestern. Bob Asmussen watches the Illini for IlliniHQ.com and says things are starting to look much better for Illinois, though, as they head into tonight's matchup with Michigan State.
The Wisconsin game was big. I want to see what they do going forward. They had a chance Friday to get to 500 in the Big Ten. I think they get that win, go to Minnesota next week, win that game. They could be on a roll here, which is what it was this morning. I just think Illinois set up to keep going here, but we'll see if it happens. They're going to have to be careful. The Big Ten is not quite as good as it's been in recent years, but it's still pretty good. I think Purdue's really good. Illinois only got one game with them. Yeah, there's some tough games coming up. Illinois, again, if they're where we think they could be, they will be able to win a big chunk of those games. I thought pretty much all year, even after the rough patch there, they would have a chance to win 20 games, maybe more. I think they're still online to do that. I think Michigan State on Friday is huge. Just in terms of keeping the ball rolling. If they get past that game, I think they could be in for a nice long run. Maybe actually move back into the rankings here in the next week or two.
Illinois dug itself into an early 0-3 start in Big Ten play. Asmussen believes with 20 conference games, there is plenty of opportunity to dig themselves out of that early hole.
And you're right. That's what you want to avoid those early games. You want to have a double bye, which means the top four. That's not easy. But I think the main thing here is they've got 20 games total in Big Ten. And that's, obviously that's increased over the last few years. It used to be 18, and I think maybe before that was 16. So 20 gives you a little bit of a comfort zone there in terms of a little padding in terms of games you can get back. So obviously you don't want to start in the 0-3. It's really tough. But you look at the three teams that lost to, not the end of the world there. And I think they have a chance to get back. I think in the conference, anything more than 10 wins in the conference is decent. This team could point towards 14 wins and maybe get them, which would be a haul, but it's possible.
While Illinois lost Sky Clark to the transfer portal mid-season, he says forward Luke Goody should be back by the end of the month, and once he gets in game shape, will provide a real shot in the arm for Illinois in a lot of facets of the game. The Chicago Bears hired Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren as their president and CEO Thursday, bringing him back to the NFL to help lead a founding franchise after 3 years running one of college athletics' marquee conferences. Warren, who replaces the retiring Ted Phillips, becomes Chicago's 5th president and the first from outside the organization. He goes from becoming the first black president of a Power 5 conference to the first for the Bears. He is the team's 2nd president that was not part of the Hallis-McCaskey family tree. Joining Phillips, Warren's big task will be helping the Bears construct a new enclosed stadium, assuming they finalize the purchase of a 326-acre tract of land in suburban Arlington Heights and decide to move. He is also joining an organization with the top overall pick in the draft, following one of the worst seasons in the franchise's history. The Bears went 3-14 and set a record for losses. Chairman George McCaskey called Warren a man of integrity, respect, and excellence. It wasn't immediately clear how the team's chain of command would be structured. GM Ryan Poles was hired a year ago and currently reports directly to McCaskey. Previous GMs reported to Phillips. Poles says he looks forward to working with Warren. Warren had spoken with several professional teams going through transitions at the top, including the Denver Broncos, Phoenix Suns, and Minnesota Timberwolves. During his tenure as Big Ten Commissioner, Warren was hired as Big Ten Commissioner in June 2019 out of the Minnesota Vikings front office to replace the retiring Jim Delaney. Now the conference is searching for a new leader. The Bears, with the Bears headquarters in Lake Forest, about 25 miles from the Big Ten's office in Rosemont. Warren will not have to move. He worked in the NFL for more than 2 decades, doing stints with the Rams and Lions before settling with Minnesota in 2005. He was the Vikings' chief operating officer from 2015 to 2019. Warren played a big role in the construction of U.S. Bank Stadium, which opened in 2016. The Bears see it as a model for their potential new home, assuming their new deal to purchase the site of the shuttered Arlington International Racecourse from Churchill Downs Inc. is completed, and they decide to leave their longtime lakefront home of Soldier Field. The Bears want to turn the Arlington Heights site, once a jewel of thoroughbred racing, into a different kind of gem, anchored by an enclosed stadium and bursting with year-round activity. They envision restaurants, retail, and more on the plot of land some 30 miles northwest of Soldier Field, all for about $5 billion with some taxpayer help. The Bears plan to pay for their stadium, but want taxpayer dollars to cover infrastructure costs, such as roads and sewers, to develop the site. Soldier Field has been the Bears' home since 1971. The team played at Wrigley Field from 1921 to 1970, and if a new stadium is constructed, the franchise would have its name on the mortgage for the first time since arriving in Chicago. Phillips, an accountant by trade, joined the Bears as their controller in 1983. He became team president in February 1999. Warren drew sharp criticism early in his tenure with the Big Ten when the league called off the 2020 fall football season because of the COVID pandemic. Player-parent groups sent letters demanding the conference reverse course. A petition that got 280,000 signatures in 3 days was started by Ohio State star Justin Fields, now the Bears' starting quarterback. There were rumblings that some schools, including Nebraska and Ohio State, would create their own schedules for the fall. The conference ultimately reversed course and played an abbreviated schedule. There also have been some big wins for the Big Ten in recent months. In July, they announced USC and UCLA will join the conference in 2024, giving it a coast-to-coast footprint in the nation's largest markets. A month later, the conference landed a $7 billion media rights deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC to share the rights to football and basketball games. The contracts go into effect in 2023 and expire in 2030. The St. Louis Cardinals hired Joe McEwing as their new bench coach Thursday to replace longtime star Matt Holliday, who took the job in November but quit to spend more time with his family. 50-year-old McEwing was originally drafted by the Cardinals in '92, playing 2 seasons for St. Louis. He spent 15 years with the White Sox, where he served as bench coach from 2017 to 2020 under Rick Renteria, and this past season as the third base coach for Tony La Russa and acting manager Miguel Caro. McEwing also served as the third base coach in Chicago from 2012 to 2016 under Robin Ventura, along with stints coaching and managing with Class A Winston-Salem and AAA Charlotte in the Sox system. Holliday, a fan favorite who helped St. Louis win the World Series in 2011, was hired November 6th to replace Skip Schumacher as manager Oliver Marmol's bench coach. The 42-year-old slugger, a 7-time All-Star in his 15-year Major League career, had been coaching at Oklahoma State in his hometown of Stillwater. The Cardinals went 93-69 and won their second NL Central title in their past 4 seasons. They were swept, though, by the eventual National League champion Phillies in their 2-game wild card series. Taylor Radish snapped a tie in the 3rd period, and the lowly Chicago Blackhawks beat the defending champion Colorado Avalanche 3-2 Thursday night for their 3rd straight win. Sam Lafferty and Andreas Athanasiou scored for Chicago. Peter Mrazek had 31 stops. The Blackhawks had a 220-1 stretch before their most recent win streak. Cale Macker and Ivan Rodriguez scored for Colorado. Nathan McKinnon had 2 assists. Pavel Francouz had 27 shots for the defending Stanley Cup champs. The slumping Avalanche dropped to 1-6-1 in their last 8. Radish gave Chicago a 3-2 lead with a tip-in of Tyler Johnson's perfect feed. 6:36 into the 3rd. It was Radish's 11th goal of the season. Colorado's Alex Newhook appeared to score with 4:51 remaining, poking in a rebound in the slot, but the Blackhawks challenged for goaltender interference, and the goal was disallowed by referees Kelly Sutherland and Jake Brank. The Avalanche tied it at 2 on Macker's screened wrister with 8:13 left in the second. Mrazek never saw it coming. The Blackhawks opened the scoring on Lafferty's 20-foot wrister at 3:24 into the game. The Avalanche tied it at 1 on Rodriguez's rebound backhand off McKinnon's shot at 11:40. Chicago made it 2-1 with Athanasiou beat Francouz from the left slot after skating in from the deep right wing early in the second. Mrazek picked up his first assist of the season and 4th of his career. by starting to play. He also helped the Blackhawks kill all 5 Colorado power plays in his third win of the season. Newhook was hit in the nose by the deflected shot of teammate Devin Taves late in the second period. He went to the locker room for repairs and returned for the third. Blackhawks star Patrick Kane, who has missed 3 games with a lower body injury, was placed on injured reserve. He could play Saturday against Seattle if he's ready. He skated on his own Thursday morning, but did not participate in the team skate. Chicago also activated Mackenzie Entwistle off injured reserve to fill Kane's roster spot. The Blackhawks continue their 7-game homestand against Seattle on Saturday. Walker Duehr's first NHL goal for Calgary Thursday night broke a scoreless tie in the second period, and the 23-year-old winger, who was born in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, becomes the first South Dakota-born player to score in the NHL. Dylan Dube scored twice in the third. Dan Vlader made 25 saves, helping the Flames to a 4-1 win over the St. Louis Blues. Dube broke a 1-all tie, scoring with 9:10 left in regulation and added an empty netter in the final minutes. Blake Coleman pushed the lead to 3-1 with his 8th goal of the season with 3:56 left. Calgary has recorded points in 16 of its last 19 contests. Duehr took a pass from Nazem Kadri late in the second period, and a wrister shot past goalie Thomas Greiss, who had stopped 61 consecutive shots in his last 3 games. Nazem Kadri set up the goal with a pinpoint pass in a 2-on-1 breakout. Duehr was called up over the weekend and made his second start of his career Tuesday. He played in 1 game for the Flames in 2021. His goal seemed to ignite his teammates. Calgary scored 3 third-period goals in a span of 5 minutes and 49 seconds. Vladar, who wears number 80, improved to 7-4-4 this season. Jake Neighbors scored for St. Louis, who had won 8 of its last 9 against the Flames, including a 4-3 overtime decision on Tuesday. Dube picked a loose puck up in the slot and broke a 1-all tie with his 8th of the season. He scored it into an empty net with 3:21 left. The Blues are without Vladimir Tarasenko and Riley O'Reilly for 4 to 6 weeks. Greiss had 36 saves and kept his team in the game over the first 3 periods. The Blues will face Tampa Bay Saturday in the third of 7 straight home games. Get sports anytime